I didn't really let people know kind of what was going on with me health-wise. I had a degenerative kidney disease for the last 20 years. Take everything that I know and teach it to you guys when you're younger so you can be way ahead of the game. You know, if you're renting, you're at zero the whole entire time. You're paying somebody else's mortgage for them. When we sold it 8 years later, we had over $200,000 in equity.
Wow.
We're in the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution.
Hi, everyone. So today we have a special guest returning for the second time here.
I'm special.
Yes, very special. So the last time that we were here, we talked about real estate.
Yep.
I feel like you've gone through a lot since the last time you were here.
I have.
Can you tell us a little bit about how your process and your journey was with the kidney transplant?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. I didn't really let people know kind of what was going on with me health-wise, kind of private that way. But after your podcast last time, I had so many people reach out and was like, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea you were going through that." So that kudos to you for that. And before I get started, congratulations, because Kim got an award for the best podcast at our KW Awards ceremony. So congratulations. So I love how well this is turning out. So, and thanks for having me back. But I had a kidney transplant in April. I had a degenerative kidney disease for the last 20 years, and we monitored it. We didn't ever think it would get to the point where I needed, but it did. It right after COVID, it advanced significantly for quite some time. And anyway, so I was on dialysis for 7 months, and it was kind of fun to try to be on dialysis and not let anybody know what's going on. So we would get up at like 4:00 in the morning and connect, and I would be on that for 4 hours and then get up and act like nothing happened. But it was fun. Anyway, and a huge shout out to my wife, who was basically my caregiver and my nurse and kidney doc and everything at the same time. So anyway, so we got through that. Transplant went really well. And for those who don't know, Teresa Weaver, our transaction coordinator, and she's manager and part owner of Red Settlement here. And she was the one that actually donated the kidney.
I still get chills.
Oh my God. And I love her so much. She's just she's obviously family now, and her and Lonnie have been just such a great support for us. But yeah, it's pretty amazing how easy it was. I mean, it's a major surgery, but University of Nebraska Med Center did a fantastic job and literally had no complications. Their systems are second to none. Their people are unbelievable. And so that went really well. We got, I was in the hospital for about a week, and then had one little tiny complication. We went back in and they adjusted the meds, and have been great ever since. So yeah, it is amazing at how, what they can do now with that. So, and now it's kind of weird because, I'm always so busy all the time. It's like it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You live that for quite a while. And I was pretty sick for probably 5 years, but, tried not to let on, but I feel like brand new now. So no excuses. I have to work harder.
And even through all that, you would still show up at the office. I would still see you here, and I'd be like,
all the time.
How does he do that? Yeah. I get a cold and I don't want to get up. Right? Yeah, so it's amazing. And then seeing you here, you look new, by the way. You look great. Yeah. You have a lot of energy too. Yeah. And we've been doing a lot of training at the office.
Yes. Yeah. So with the lawsuit recently and the NAR, all the national stuff that went on, we had to redo all 4 states. So Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Minnesota, all 4 states of the documentation, because the purchase agreements are different. The listing agreements are different. Compensation works in a different way. So we had to, that was a big part of my life for the last few months, is really coordinating and rewriting all of those, making sure they're correct and legal, and then applying, teaching all you guys what we're doing. So it really, it's gone pretty smooth. We still have a few questions here and there, and it's a whole different process now than it used to be. So we just reinvented reinvented the processes in the business within the last, 5 months probably. So,
yeah, there's been a huge shift.
Yeah, huge. Yeah. So that was exhausting. And that was all during all of this stuff. So I literally got out. So I had that done in April. So May, and then by July we had to start redoing everything. So yeah, I would say it was fun, but I'd be lying.
So this was all through your recovery pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what was that like?
Stressful. And, it was literally like, it had to be done, so I couldn't skip a beat, So I stayed home and healed it was 5 weeks. And then, literally, and then just like it didn't happen and back at it again. So, yeah. And I'm super thankful for how it all went down.
Yeah. So. Especially with all the stories you get to hear out there.
Oh, yeah.
Because like you said, it's a major surgery.
Yeah. And, and we, and the cool part is there's a little backstory to some of this, because Chris Delphs had donated a kidney to a team leader, KW team leader, over in I think it was New Jersey, if I remember right. And she is literally the nicest human being you could ever meet. And we just got to connect with her at family reunion here just last month. So it was neat to see her, and she's back at it, and she looks great. And that was, because of Chris. And so, yeah, I guess we're the kidney crew. So,
that's a huge blessing. Were you guys on the news?
So KTIV did a little story about us. And so it was Chris and Teresa and I, and we kind of talked about how it all worked out. And because Chris didn't tell us that he was donating a kidney. And so we had our first leadership meeting when he came back. We had it at his house because he was still healing. And he said, well, I just wanted everybody to know I just donated a kidney. And I'm like, I need one. He goes, oh, I should have waited. Anyway, and so it just worked out really cool. And like I said, the gal that he donated to she's fabulous. So she's doing really well.
I did see that, because last family reunion was it for Inspirational Morning that they talked about it?
So for Inspirational Morning, we at family reunion last year, that's when I was still on dialysis, and they'll always do like a they talk about a lot of the inspirational stuff that happens within the company. And we've got, 160,000 agents. And so there's a lot of stuff that happens. And so last year they talked about Chris. They did a feature story on Chris and his recipient. And then they said, and as we're sitting here, we have another need for another kidney. And by the end of that time, there was like 15 people that stepped forward and actually filled out the information to donate. And so, and in the meantime, Teresa stood up, and I said to Teresa, I said, I honestly don't want to know the person, because if something would happen, I would feel horrible. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I won't tell you exactly what she said, but she said, shut up, I'm doing it. And anyway, and so she did it in the meantime. But after that, a lot of those people were on the donor registry, and we haven't followed up, but I'm assuming, at least a couple of them probably donated, and that kind of pays it forward. So
that's the meaning of family, though.
It
because is. I know in Chris's story, like, he had never met her before.
No. And now they're like this. It's so cool. They hung out the whole time while we were out there at the convention. So
can you explain a little bit for those who don't know what the family reunion is?
Oh, yeah. So family reunion is our national convention. And that is where it is a great way. Usually there's 15, 16,000 people there. And we have, large classrooms basically. And so last year we had Mel Robbins and Tony Robbins. So no relation, but we had those two. So unbelievable, talking about, motivation and things like that. And then they have individual breakouts where you can go and pick a different topic that you want to learn about, whether it's, how to structure your business for taxes, how to lead generate, how to run a team, all of that stuff. And it is literally some of the best education in the entire industry. So, and we have fun.
Yeah.
At the same time. And it's a great way for us locally to bond. And then we've got, our sister companies in Des Moines and now the Quad Cities. So Okoboji. So yeah, it's a blast. We love it.
And that's one of the reasons why I joined KW, because I love, the culture and the education. You never stop learning.
Never.
You're like, the day you stop learning is like, oh, something's wrong.
I've been in it for 24 years and I still learn stuff every single day. And and my goal is to make sure take everything that I know and teach it to you guys when you're younger, so you can be way ahead of the game, as you progress through the business. So I can make it easier for you. I'm going to do that.
Thank you. Yes. And I'm always going to Kevin for questions, by the way.
And hey, I'm going to do a shameless plug for Jay's Nutrition. I stopped and got my T-bomb. So great job, Holly.
I love the color on that drink, by the way. It makes it fun.
It's so good.
Okay, so like you said that at family reunion, there were like 15 other people that came up. What advice would you give to someone that's going through kind of the same medical journey?
Don't be silent about it. You'd be surprised how many people care enough about you, or somebody who has that passion to donate. So please let everybody know that you are going through what you're going through. And for me, I don't know if I was embarrassed, but you as a guy, you always think you have to be the strong, strong person. And I didn't really want anybody to know that I had that weakness. So don't do that. I mean, step up, and you'd be surprised the amount of people that will step up and want to help you. The world's a crazy place right now, but in the end, especially locally, people care. They really do. And they want to help. So that's the biggest advice, is don't be secret. So
yeah, because there's a pattern of that.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
And I think that it doesn't make anybody look weak. And if anything, it makes you look strong.
Yeah.
So if you have it in your heart, or if you're going through something like that, don't be secretive.
And and if you feel that you have that call to maybe donate, there's a kidney donating registry that you can jump on. So you can just Google it, and don't hesitate to get on there. And especially if you're a kind of an odd blood type, which I was B positive, which is not super common. And so for me to find somebody, we had planned on being on dialysis for quite some time. They said the average is 2 years before you find a donate or somebody to donate for you. But mine was 7 months, and I was very fortunate. So lucky. Yeah.
Because I've met people in my family, they don't make it. And dialysis is too much for them.
Dialysis. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
I had a port. I actually got what they call a fistula, which is where they take a vein and connect it to an artery. And so now, I don't want to show it to you, it's kind of gross, but you can see this thing right here is actually a big vein, and that's where I was going to have to continue to be on dialysis. And so thank God we didn't even have to use that. I got to use the port the whole time.
Do you still feel that?
Oh yeah. 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 It's you can actually feel it. It's buzzing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you feel it later. It's kind of gross. So, but yeah, and that's a reminder. I mean, every day it's a reminder. And, cause you get caught up in the day-to-day, business and trying to serve people, and you just forget about yourself, and then every morning I have that reminder of this thing looking at me in the mirror. So yeah,
that's a great way to look at it, by the way.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm so grateful, and especially to Teresa and Charity, and Lonnie too. But in the end, it's like, I want to pay it forward somehow. So, I don't know what that looks like, but anybody I can help, I'd try to help them. So.
I think you help a lot of people, Kevin.
I try to.
Probably without even knowing it, but you do.
I try to. That's my passion, honestly. Yeah. Some people are driven by money. I'm not. I'm driven by my payback is to see you guys succeed in a big way, and it's fun to see that. So how well you're doing, and with your podcast, and so that makes me very proud.
Thank you very much. That means a lot. So the other day, we were in the lobby. It was on your birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And my clients were in the office because we were writing an offer.
Yeah.
And you made them feel very special, by the way.
Oh,
and
good.
Yeah, like they said, what an amazing human being. They said he's a people person. Like he's just got it. I'm like, and that's genuine. They're like, cool. I know, I can feel it.
That's cool to hear. I think anybody that walks through the office doors should feel special. So, yeah.
How has your health experience influenced like your leadership at KW?
I think the biggest thing is when you get in the middle of a deal and you have someone, whether it's another agent or whether it's a client who is acting a certain way or they're frustrated or whatever, is not to judge because you don't know what's going on in their life. And so to have that perspective now, because, being the secret person that felt like crap and still had to do my job and that kind of stuff. And I went through a period where I was kind of grumpy, because of some of that, because when you're sick, you just don't have the capacity to deal with a lot of that. But now I see that, and I think it gives me way more empathy to people. If they snap back at you or something, you just don't snap back at them. You just, be patient, figure out, ask them questions, figure out what's going on. And a lot of times you realize that there's something going on in their life that you didn't know about. So don't judge people for that.
That's huge.
I would say that's probably the biggest thing I learned out of it.
Yeah.
So,
and it's really important in leadership. I think that's one of the most important things. Yeah. Because it starts to reflect on the people who follow you.
Negative leadership will bring negative people.
Yes. That's very true.
And we want this to be a positive, fun, productive place where agents can come and, feel great about the business. And we've had some issues in the past, but you cannot let that, as a leader, you cannot let that happen. You have to fix that immediately because it will destroy your business. And, we dealt with that. It was very uncomfortable with some of it. But in the end, we dealt with it, and we've got a very healthy, vibrant organization. And proud to say we ended up #1 in market share last year in all of Northwest Iowa. So that was a huge deal. That's and then our Okoboji office, we started off as like number 15, and we ended this last year as number 4. And in that market, that's a gigantic deal.
Mind you that Okoboji is a small office.
Yeah.
So to have that number 4, that's huge.
It is huge.
And then we have an agent up there that made the biggest sale in Iowa, right?
Biggest sale in Iowa history. Yeah. So it was actually a $10 million sale, but by the time it was adjusted for a couple things, it closed at 9.5. So that's
just 9.5.
I love it. So $9.5 million, and she worked on that it was about 2.5 years. They would look at it and then go away, look at it and go away, and it happened finally, and that's pretty cool. We're really proud of that.
Approximately how many agents are in the Okoboji office?
I think we have 8.
8? Yeah. Whoa.
8. Yeah. Yeah, and we did. I wish we could include our Okoboji volume in our Northwest Iowa volume, but we can't. But we ended up doing about 50 million up there just in that small office with 8 people. So they're just a wonderful group of people up there.
It's about the quality.
It is. I agree. 100%. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, like being able to do that with all the changes that there were last year, because there were a lot of doubts. There was like so much on the media, I had a lot of people calling me really confused about like what was going on. So
the media messed it all up.
Really.
And it was not, the way that they portrayed it was not the way it truly was. And
not at all.
And really what it did is it changed our procedures and the structure of the deal itself. But in the end, the compensation, the realtor compensation ends up in on the transaction, which that's what they portrayed to be different, that, the buyers were going to have to pay their own commission and all of that. But it's really worked out it kind of shook out to where there's just some procedural changes. So,
and I think it also helps that we are problem solvers.
We are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's what we do for a living.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, if we didn't have problems, we wouldn't have a job. So, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's how I see it too, is like they threw a problem at us, but we start thinking, okay, how can we solve this?
Yeah.
It's like there's ways to deal with that.
Yep.
But yeah, the way it was portrayed made it seem like, I mean, it's hard enough to afford a house, especially for like first-time homebuyers.
Yeah.
But making it seem like that, it made it very scary, especially for like the younger generation.
Exactly.
So
it scared a lot of people, and and there again, that's our job, is to talk to the buyers and sellers, set their expectations, and make sure that they understand the process. And that, and that's our job as professionals, to make sure that they understand the process and that they're comfortable with it, and finding the right house and doing the, home inspection and making sure the appraisal's okay. And so it's, and the biggest thing is communication. If you can communicate well with your client, their experience is going to be a lot greater than it would have before. Yes.
Something that I've personally learned is, communication gains their trust also.
Yep.
Because when I first started, little hiccups came up here and there, and I was like, I could have helped you if you would have told me.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, establish that trust from the very first initial meeting that we have. And then, they do start telling me like, okay, so this is what's going on in my life. And it sounds a little funny, right? Yeah. But that's what it takes.
It does. And really, when you're going through with a group of buyers, you almost become like family. And it's kind of weird, because you get to closing and then it's like, okay,
now what?
Well, now what are we going to do? Are we going to see you next week?
Yeah, right.
So it's hard to break that, especially when you're a good buyer's agent. You get connected with those people. And honestly, I've made so many friends. My clients have become my friends through the years. And a huge part of my sphere of influence are my past clients. So I love them.
Have you ever become like the family realtor?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I've been in it long enough to where, I've sold, the parents and then their kids. And now I'm getting old enough to where now it's the kids' kids. So, the original people's grandkids. So I've done a few of those now. So, and that's fun. And when they trust you like that, that makes that you've done a good job. And that's, we all work so hard for that. And to me, that's the payback. It's not money. That's the payback.
Yeah. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Oh, no, you don't. Yeah. I'm a little crazy.
So your experience in like first-time home buyers, second-time home buyers, and sellers, and maybe even investors.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give to the first-time home buyers?
First-time home buyers, listen to your agent. Let them walk you through. There's always an expert, in the family somewhere. And I always say, if there's somebody that is going to help you make a decision, have them come with you to every showing. And then that way they've been through the same process that, that the younger people have, and they know the market, they know what you can buy within that particular price range. And then that way you guys are all on the same page. What can happen, and it's really stressful for first-time home buyers, is when you've looked at 20 houses and then you find the right one, and that, and they know that, and they bring somebody in that doesn't necessarily know the market, that is, their trusted person. And then then all of a sudden they start, you have to start over sometimes. But that is, that's the biggest thing. Bring that expert with you, because that's a huge part of the process. And then also, again, your realtor should have really good contacts for home inspectors. We don't pick the appraiser, so we don't have to worry about that. But lenders, you've had a lot of lenders on here. And then making sure that you walk through that home inspection. And then for the agent, have perfect communication. And especially never text bad news. If it's bad news for whatever pops up, there's always something. But definitely always make that phone call or meet them face to face and just say, here's the problem. However, I usually say that the agent should have at least 2 and preferably 3, because you can't just tell them the problem and let them sit there, because they will, they'll self-destruct basically. And so if you just say, okay, here are our options, option A, option B, option C, and which one feels most comfortable to you, they'll make that decision. And again, that is your job, is to make them feel good. And to do a good job of representing them. So for first-time home buyers, trust your agent. So, and get a good lender. Again, make sure that agent is really well connected. So
who you work with really does matter.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's great advice about the first one. Well, they were both great advice, but the one of like bringing the person that's going to help you make a decision, because I once had a situation where they missed out on a good deal. Like the house was priced great, and it had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But
and then and they're not doing anything malicious. It's just they're not as informed as you and the buyer, because you've seen, just say 20 houses. And that's the cool thing right now is back in 2020 and 2021, you couldn't look at 20 houses. And now it allows, the market is balanced out a little bit to where you can show first-time home buyers more homes so that they're educated. And when they buy the house, they know they're buying the right one.
I have noticed that, because this is my 3rd year in the business. So when I went in, it was crazy. It was a shift, and everybody was saying like 5
offers on every house. And
well, to me, it was normal. It was like learning how to drive on a truck,
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, so this is what it's usually like.
It's more fun, actually. When you have inventory to look at, it's more fun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of people that they want to buy a house, and I've been talking to them since like the last year, but they're waiting for interest rates to go down. And sometimes it's so tough, like getting them, to understand, like you can always refinance. House prices are going to go up. That's
what it is. And here's the thing. And I've done the math. So like when interest rates were low, you had, all of a sudden you had a house that was listed at $200,000, and then it ends up selling for $250 because of all the offers and cheap interest rates. That's what sparked that. Now it's kind of opposite to where, we can't, throw that extra $5,000 or $10,000 on top of the price and hope that we get it. So listings are definitely corrected. So they have corrected. And so the interest rates, number one, they are below 6 now today. I just saw that. So that's good. And second thing is you're missing the equity. And I'm actually going to do a video on this here. And I call it Start Your Equity Clock. And so, if you look at if you draw a chart and you have point A, if you're renting, you're at zero the whole entire time. You're paying somebody else's mortgage for them, and which that's a great thing. Some people have to rent, and that's okay. However, if you can buy, even though interest rates are a little bit higher, what happens is you start that equity clock today, and all of a sudden, your equity goes up like this, and it's almost linear right now. We were gaining 10 to 15% per year, and now it's back down to probably 5 or 6. But still, you start that equity increasing, and you're paying down your mortgage this way. And so at the end of that, here's your equity for the next house. And if you wait, all of a sudden you're cutting your equity in half, because as soon as interest rates go down, prices are going to go back up. And so they always say, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
When's the second best time? Today. And so start that equity clock today. And for example, this is, a personal experience. Is I bought a house. I had gotten divorced, and I bought a house in Windstone, and lived there 8 years. And literally I put like $20,000 down on the house because I just didn't have a lot of money at that time. And when we sold it 8 years later, we had over $200,000 in equity.
Whoa.
So now if I would have rented, I would have had nothing.
Nothing at all.
And so, and the interest rates at that time were, higher. I think I had actually refied once in the middle, but so start the equity clock. Equity is way more powerful than interest rates because you're not going to live in that house for 30 years. You're just not. There's going to be, your family situation is going to change. So interest rate is, it's not going to affect you that much, but the equity will.
Yeah.
So
even like in an emergency, I've had, one of my first listings was they had to sell because there was an emergency in the family, and they had like $50,000 in equity, which helped them. It was huge.
Yes.
I mean, where else would those $50,000?
Exactly. And it comes from real estate. There is no greater wealth building tool than real estate.
Yeah.
And again, it's your home. It's your place of rest. It's your safe place. It's your happy place, but also it's building your equity for the future. So I just sold a house for an elderly couple, and they had lived there since 1961. And they probably paid $5,000 for the house. And so now they ended up selling it, and now they have a chunk of cash that will, help fund their retirement. And so, you don't get that with renting or waiting or anything. So equity is a much more powerful tool than interest rates.
The sooner you start, the better.
Sooner. Yes, it's true. Yep. Because prices don't go down.
No.
At least they haven't.
No, they haven't.
In my career, they haven't.
And even if they were to go down, I don't think it's going to go down by much.
No, because in Iowa, we're very insulated. And the main reason is, the coasts are going to have the big swings up and the big swings down. So we're insulated here mainly because we have our industry is all food related. It's all ag and value added ag. And it's all food related. Everybody has to eat. And so we are never going to see the high highs, but we're never going to see the low lows.
Oh, I had never looked at it that way. That's so true.
It is. Yep. So if you think about it, that is, Sioux City is all food related.
Yeah. So, even with the plants that are here, like Tyson, they come here. And I've seen a growth also in the community. There's a lot of people moving into Sioux City.
There are. Yeah. I've actually moved in several from California.
Oh.
Recently.
Way cheaper.
It is way cheaper. And I think, between some of the extremes out there, the wildfires and atmospheric rivers and all that stuff, they just, they come here and you have an occasional tornado, but for the most part, other than the 20 below zero, but so
at least no earthquakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Oh, hey, so real quick, I want to talk about the partnership with Stone Point that Keller Williams announced recently. So can you share what this means for the company?
Yes, I'm super excited about it. I had no idea it was in the works, but Gary Keller is one of the most intuitive businessmen that I've ever seen. And he knows where the industry is going. We, at a franchise level have fought against Zillow for quite some time. And I believe that we came out on top on that one. And so one thing Gary Keller said about 5 years ago at one of our family reunions is we're in the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution. And I was like, what? What does that mean? You think back and it's, the cotton gin and all the other, beginnings of the industrial revolution. And he said, it's big data. And he's 100% right. And so now 5 years later, that's when he started to build Command. And, so Command is our CRM for real estate. And it was specifically designed by agents, for agents. And so 5 years later, now that it's all done and works phenomenally and is, I guarantee it's the best tool in the industry. So, so Stone Point sees that, and they know that we've got a gigantic amount of data. Mm-hmm. And we as agents and as a company, we own that data. Zillow doesn't own it. Realtor.com doesn't own it. We own it. And so what that did is attracted, a large investor to come in and say, hey, we want to partner with you to use that data to increase your business. And so what I foresee, and so Stone Point Capital is, they own CoreLogic, which CoreLogic is the largest data aggregator in the entire real estate business. They also own LionDesk, which is, they build lots of our competitors' websites. And so in CoreLogic, they're into MLSs and all that. So they're deep into the structure of real estate. And so what this partnership is going to do, we're the largest real estate company in the world, is we will be able to take that data and leverage that and allow our agents to be quicker to leads, more intuitive. They're potentially talking about, they're trying to be able to farm your Facebook as an agent, to know when any of your sphere of influence or somebody is talking about moving, and notifying you and allowing you to go out and check that. So I'm excited. This is Gary Keller is still the majority owner. So he is, and he's 68. So he's going to be, thinking about, he'll never retire, but he's got to probably slow down a little bit. But they're a minority owner as well as some other of the leadership. So I think it's going to be awesome.
And I did want to clarify that, because I saw somewhere that it was a sale, but it's not a sale. It's a partnership. So they bought into, so it was not a sale. Mm-hmm.
So Gary still is majority owner, and then they're a minority owner. And so it is definitely a partnership. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like we're getting ahead of the game.
We are. Oh, for sure. And that's Gary. I mean, he's just that kind of leader. The other thing is so two things: our culture, which is, it's very unique to the real estate industry, and our profit share. So as you know, we profit share every single month. You see the big profit share check on the wall. Those will never go away. That is a big deal. They had talked about going public a couple of years ago, and they decided not to, because the people that were trying to take us public were wanting to get rid of profit share. And that's something that Gary will not give in. So yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah. So culture is staying.
Yes.
Even though we have this partnership, nothing is changing.
Right.
When it comes to culture and the things models, it always comes back to the basics. So that's not going away. Yeah.
You are exactly right. We talked about that the other day. Is no matter how long you've been in the business, it is always about the basics. It's always about, real estate is always local. And no matter how big everything gets, real estate's always local. It's always face-to-face, and your agent matters. And so that will never go away. So, yeah. And we want to have, again, so we're in our 10th year now. So we're going to be celebrating 10 years coming up in August. So that'll be awesome. And we've grown, we've been through the growing pains. And so now we are focusing on excellence and making sure that our agents have every single tool that they need to go out and build the business that they want to build.
This is exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be super cool. So Gary is definitely a disruptor in the market. So I love it. And
we're going to see the fruits of that. I know we are, even if it's not this year, but I know we will.
Yep. Yeah, when Gary came out and said, we are now a technology company who happens to be in real estate, they laughed at him. And now we have the best with Command, and it works. It's a fantastic
I send emails through Command.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Emails, you can send texts, you can, tons of lead generation tools in there, and then all your documentation stuff. And it's the only one that's fully integrated, and we own it instead of a third party. So yeah, it's a great tool.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. Is there anything you want to add?
I don't think so. And again, bottom line is, in real estate, again, it's always face to face and always local. And so you and stay to the basics, and you will always do well. And doing stuff like this, I love it. Video and podcasts are absolutely the future of this business. So I don't like doing video personally, but you have to incorporate that into your world. So.
And I feel like you would have so much advice to give. You have so much experience.
I'd love to write a book. I have so many funny stories, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I've walked in on people in their bedroom.
No way.
Well, hello.
In showings?
Yep. Oh, they forgot to tell me. Anyway, no. That'd make a good book, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would. The new way of entertaining.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So, that would be great.
Well, great job. I am so proud of you. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Congrats.
Kevin.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. If you have any questions for Kevin, what's your number?
712-259-6237.
And if you want to reach out to me, my number is 712-301-1997. Thank you for watching.